Hello to everybody and welcome to the SNAP webinar. I've been practicing that for quite a while and yes, I'm not quite so comfortable, and we definitely need to sign up for Libby's course so I can get a bit more comfortable with doing that, but it'll come. So welcome to the SNAP webinar, and we're delighted to have Libby back again, and she is going to be talking about Makaton and relationships. So in a previous webinar, one of the questions that Libby had was, is Makaton just for children? And the answer was a resounding no, but it's a very important aspect of Makaton. So we wanted to ask Libby back to delve a bit deeper into using Makaton, not just with children, but with supporting language with adults as well. So I will pass over to Libby and she can expand on exactly what I've just said. Thank you, Libby.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. As Sally said, Makaton is used by babies, children, but also with adults with a broad range of communication needs. So if you've got adults or young people with an acquired brain injury, that can be really supportive to introduce Makaton into their environment. I'm working with a lady at the moment who is using Makaton within her friends on a social level. So the signs that she is learning and they are learning are not necessarily part of the core vocabulary, but they're important to her. So she's got cider and cheese toasties and that kind of thing. That meets her needs on a personal level. But Makatons can be used by people with all kinds of communication difficulties. So whether it be physical disabilities or sensory impairments, and those that are on the autistic spectrum, basically anybody that's got a communication difficulty. But in particular today, we want to talk about how Makaton is crucial for those adults who may have grown up using Makaton or perhaps come to Makaton later in life. And they often have a different set of needs and wants from when they were a child. So crucially, they need to be given that different vocabulary to express themselves. So one example of how they can do this is the resource that's available from makaton.org, and the links will be put into the chat later on. But there is currently a resource that's free to download all about Valentine's Day. So Valentine's Day, so in it there are concepts such as boyfriend, to cuddle, to date, kiss, and love. Very useful for people just a little bit older than toddlers, I'd have thought.
Super. Can you just go through those, just do those signs again, because they were just really nice to see, but just so we could just have just another quick look at those signs.
Absolutely. So the sign for boyfriend, so I actually signed man because I'm a grown adult. So for me to have a boy friend would be inappropriate, but we don't use the phrase man friend. We say boyfriend as adults, don't we? So boyfriend, and or if it sorry, female, then you'd have girlfriend or lady friend. To cuddle, to date or go out with, so you just have your dominant hand resting on your hip as if you've just sort of got a little there, they can link their arms with you. To date or go out with. To kiss and love.
Very nice, thank you. And so one of the questions we have is, how is Makaton working towards being more inclusive?
So, excuse me, the Makaton charity is working towards being more inclusive. I don't think any organisation can say that they absolutely are 100%. We're always a work in progress. And the charity have taken a lot of steps forward in the last few years. So that people of all ages can express their emotional needs and understand appropriate behaviour and boundaries. So this month, being LGBT plus History Month, the Makaton charity have made available a resource, and that can allow people to have vocabulary to discuss all ranges of information. And that one includes such concepts as brave, celebrate, fancy or attracted to, fancy, feel, person, and relationships. I'll just repeat those. So brave, celebrate, fancy, to feel, person, and relationships. But there's also an extensive Makaton safeguarding training available that covers a huge range of other concepts.
I think that's a really important point, Libby, isn't it? Because as we sadly know, that people with learning disabilities or communication difficulties are at higher risk of safeguarding issues and of abuse. And perhaps you could just explain a bit more about how Makaton sort of addresses that.
Yeah. So the Safeguard Workshop is open to anyone who's already trained up to at least a level 2 of the core vocabulary. And that's because much of the vocabulary discussions go beyond that core vocabulary. But it's really important that you've got the foundation of signing, symbol knowledge and understanding of the Makaton language programme before you delve much deeper into the safeguarding concepts. But the Safeguarding Workshop provides participants with the vocabulary and strategies to use it appropriately when supporting vulnerable people. So it's really a wonderful workshop for designated safeguard leads within organisations, many other charity workers and family members, of course. So because the signs and symbols cover all kinds of topics. I'm not going to demonstrate those, but just to give you an overview, the concepts that are covered within safeguarding would be people, so extended family members, professionals involved in care, people involved in the judicial process and other relationships, body parts and children, places, feelings, thoughts, behaviour, emotions and intimacy, because you've got adults that would like to have an intimate relationship and they need to be able to express in any way that they're able, and having that vocabulary, signs and symbols is really important. And of course, abuse and bullying. It's really important that a child or a young person or anybody has got the ability to disclose that something's happened to them. As an early years educator, I would have always said that the word bad or naughty is not one that I use within my classroom. But when I'm actually teaching Makaton signs, I make sure that everyone is aware of the sign for bad. Because if you have to disclose that a bad thing has happened to you, you need that vocabulary. Unfortunately, life is not all just the good and the happy and joyful signs. We need to have that ability. So the course gives people the opportunity to consider how the vocabulary can be safely applied to promote communication across all different levels and contexts. And it helps you to work out how to provide those vulnerable people with a voice to express their concerns.
And how long would that sort of safeguarding training take?
So that's a 16-hour safeguarding session. So on a face-to-face basis, you do it over 2 days. But because we're delivering online at the moment via Zoom, it's usually split up into 4 4-hour sessions. So each of the levels take 8 hours normally. So this would be twice as much as a normal level.
And can you fail a Makaton course?
Oh, that's a good question. No, absolutely. So you get awarded a certificate of participation by your tutor when you've attended, and it is the tutor's responsibility to make sure that you've been given enough guidance and support to have that confident knowledge and application of your signs and symptoms and symbols, sorry, not symptoms. And basically you're supported through the process, and your tutor will guide you and give you the support and interaction, which is why we deliver training in small groups. And as such, why I can't necessarily say that I'm teaching today, because obviously I'm not seeing people sign and able to correct and manage their hand movements and position, movement and direction.
So it is fantastic that the vocabulary is obviously increasing all the time and evolving, just as any kind of language would. It's you know, and we've had the kind of example of COVID, how we had to introduce new concepts and signs because those weren't in anybody's vocabulary, and that does just keep presumably evolving as any language does.
Excuse me. Yes, absolutely. Well, the words when it comes to who decides what words and concepts are added to the vocabulary, the Makaton Charity have various working groups, and they're working groups of senior tutors, ambassadors, and experienced tutors who respond to the requests from the public. So these working groups design new symbols and signs where appropriate, and they're shared via the website. There's a Makaton monthly newsletter that you can sign up for. There's also Makachat, which is a chat function that's within the website that you can get lots of updates on. And of course, social media. There's lots of information shared via social media from not just individual tutors' pages, but the Makaton charity page as well. So tutors are updated of all these new signs and symptoms as well. And these updates happen as an ongoing process. For example, the example you gave about COVID, we didn't know those last year because we didn't need to. So if you want a particular sign or symbol and don't know if it exists and want to request it, then you can send an email to ask for it to be considered. So the email address will be included in the chat function below, but it's help@makaton.org. And that's not to say that every request is met, but they are considered by the working groups, and they would try and move forward and decide which ones are the ones that have been most relevant to most people.
And I guess that some people, some of the topics, obviously like COVID, have to be kind of implemented, pretty much immediately because they're absolutely, sort of requirements for the day. It's really so important, isn't it? It's kind of to get those immediately done, whereas others maybe, and I know some people have their own variations of their own. If there isn't a sign, I've seen some people who make their own kind of sort of variations of their own sign, but clearly that's only good for them, and so it needs to be
absolutely. And the consistency of having that Makaton knowledge across the board is what's really important, makes it so valuable, because if you've got a user that is in a certain setting where everyone has adapted a sign a certain way, and then they move to a different setting or have a different carer, then they're going to be more challenged then, because they wouldn't then all of a sudden be understood.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I do think it's fantastic that there is so much kind of being evolved and everything, and also that adults with disabilities are not being treated like children, because I think that's on Twitter, I obviously follow lots and lots of disabled adults on Twitter, and one of the common kind of complaints that they have is like, we're not children, and it's kind of like, so that's fantastic to see that is already there, and as you say, being evolved, because that just in itself will have the language will have changed, and rightly so as well.
Absolutely. So, it is possible to order a round of drinks at the bar using quite a few different signs and things. Remember when we used to go to bars?
Oh, those were the days.
But yeah, so there's a huge vocabulary already in place for adult activities, and there in fact is a download that I think is entitled Adult Activities, which has lots of different things in as well. So it really is worth looking at the website, and you can actually join as a core member and actually have more access and download things, or you can join as a free member and have access to the free resources.
Okay, brilliant. Super. So I'm just going to have a quick look at the chats and just see if we have anything in there that isn't covered. I know that one of them was. So we have a question here, which is there Makaton to attend for daily living? So I imagine that's sort of just for daily living skills, I imagine.
So what we would say is, if you have a Makaton core, if you have your Makaton core vocabulary, having attended the various levels 1, 2, 3, and 4, then you would acquire lots of language then, lots of vocabulary. And then the daily living, if we're talking about routines and that kind of thing, then you might want to look out for bespoke topic sessions and see if that is done on an individual need basis. For example, I've just done a taster session with a group of music students. So whilst we did cover some basic, there was an awful lot of musical instruments that you wouldn't normally sign. So it can be arranged within a setting or a group.
Yeah, that makes sense. So does that answer the question for 3, I think it was, who asked that question? Put a little thing in the chat if that's, or just do a thumbs up. I think you can get a Can't quite see that. So, well, we will hope that that will be the answer that you were looking for. If I misread that, then obviously you can just send us a message afterwards, and Libby will be very happy to answer your questions. So then I think you're going to do a few more demonstrations, Libby, aren't you? To
Yep, so I'm just going to go over the ones that I've shown earlier, so I'll go over those in more detail. So for boyfriend or girlfriend, thinking if you're a child or a teenager, you might just want to do boy or girl, but if you're an adult, it's very important that you sign the appropriate age. So for me, well, not as far as my husband's concerned, but boyfriend, so that would be man friend, or if it was a lady, girlfriend or lady friend. The sign for cuddle, so you've got your arms moving like that. And to date or go out with, so your hand on your hip with a nice gap there, ready for someone to link their arms in with you. Sign for kiss, dominant fingers, dominant side of mouth, kiss. And the sign for love. Then we've got the sign for brave, celebrate, fancy or attracted to. So your index finger is just drawing up your chest and, sorry, with pigtails, so drawing up over to your shoulder. To feel your middle finger coming up the middle of your body. Person, so that's non-gender specific. So there may be opportunities where you don't want to say man or lady, but you can just use person. That's a really nice one. And then relationship. So you've got fingers and thumbs connected and just back and forth, relationship.
And I know that we have done this in previous ones, but I do think that they're really important. Would you mind us going over the COVID ones again? Because I know that there was they were very popular with the last in the last session when we did that, and obviously so topical, unfortunately. But we hope that we will be having a webinar soon where we will be just not doing COVID signs.
Absolutely, and I do try and use these in most of my training sessions just for that very reason. So we're going to do coronavirus or COVID. So we've got a half C and then 2 flicks off that second finger. Coronavirus. And we're making sure that we're speaking at the same time as we're signing. Lockdown. So using your fingers and your thumb, lockdown. Socially distancing. Home. To wash your hands. Soap. So there's a difference between washing your hands and soap. So wash your hands going all the way around, but soap, you're just moving 2 movements forward. Soap. Mask. And then to wear a mask. Symptoms to look out for. If you've got a temperature, if you're hot, cold, if you've got a cough, or you've got a headache, that means pain, feeling unwell, feeling ill. So we're going to do hands, face, and space. So the phrase hands, face, and space, we're not talking about the hand, but we're talking about washing the hands. So hands, face, again, we're talking about the mask, not the actual face, and space, socially distancing. So hands, face, and space.
So when you were doing the headache, is that correct?
So yes, so it's a trembling hand over where the place is. So if it was shoulder pain.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. So that would be for any kind of pain.
Yeah, any kind of pain, that shaking hand over the place that causes the pain.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Super. So I think we had another message, another question. Let me just have a little. So Hope has asked, why is it man friend for boyfriend and not man relationship?
So basically, when we're signing boyfriend, just the way that we speak in the English language, we wouldn't say, "Oh, that's my boyfriend," referring to a child. If you're an adult, we'd actually, excuse me, if you're an adult and you're in an adult relationship, you may still call them your boyfriend, but they would be a grown adult. So we are demonstrating the meaning of the phrase boyfriend by showing that it's a grown adult that you're in a relationship with, not a boy. So it's what is the most appropriate meaning of the relationship, as opposed to defining it in the words that are said.
You could presumably sign, if you wanted to, I'm having a relationship with a man.
Yeah, absolutely.
With a woman.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
I am in a relationship with a man. I am in a relationship with a lady.
Jolly good. Thank you very much. Well, that was, as usual, very enlightening and so useful. So does anybody else have any questions that they would like to pop into the chat box? I think we've covered them all. I can't see any little typing going on. If you do have any questions, please just you can email me and I can forward them to Libby. But we will be posting up a recording of this video, and also there's a fact sheet as well that will go alongside this recording, and there's plenty of links there so that you can get in touch with Libby and from Hands Aloud. And if you would like to speak to her about doing one of her online courses, it's so fantastic that, and you know, of course, everything about COVID is horrible, but the accessibility of being able to do everything online is very helpful. And Libby, I know you are doing your courses online at the moment, so that does make it very very accessible for everybody. So if you would like to get in touch with Libby and find out more about her courses, then please do.
Can I just say, other tutors are available. I'm not the only one.
Yes, yes, that's right.
If whilst the link for my booking details and contact details are included, if you go to makaton.org, you can also find other tutors if you find that my dates aren't suitable for you. A lot of tutors are delivering online, and it may well be in future times you'd want to have a tutor that was close to you so that you could have that face-to-face contact. So yes, lots of wonderful tutors out there, so please do feel free to explore your options.
Thank you, Libby. Thank you. Well, thank you so much again. And you'll see that there's some links going up there, but we'll put all of those links into the fact sheet. So don't worry about kind of writing them all down. And as I say, the recording will go up as well. And thank you everybody for joining us. We've had a nice big crowd again, which is lovely to have. So thank you very much, and goodbye. I suppose I should just ask you, Libby, how do I say goodbye, everyone, please? Goodbye.
You just signed goodbye, everybody.
There isn't an everybody?
There is, but at this point, just
I'm obviously not that advanced yet to do that. Can't be trusted.
We'll keep it cool. We'll just keep it cool. So goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody.